Hello, students. I am Gargi and I will be taking your lectures from today. Subject Physical Education, Class 12th, Chapter number 3, Lecture 1. Name of the chapter is Yoga and Lifestyle. So, now starting with the introduction of the chapter, each and every individual wants to lead a healthy and positive lifestyle. Now, every one of us know that each one of us wanted to have a life in which we are happy, in which we are free from illness or any kind of disease, in which we are free from stress, anxiety, tension, and we all wanted to have a life which is healthy and positive. But nowadays, doing so is not an easy task. It is not at all easy to have a very positive or a healthy lifestyle, and the reason behind it is that our own sedentary habits, where we ourselves don't perform any kind of physical activity. Because of this reason of not having a good physical or not having a good lifestyle, there are various lifestyle diseases like obesity, diabetes, asthma, and etc. And these all lifestyle diseases are very common. So you may come across many people, those who are having obesity, they are obese, they have extra bodily fat. You might come across people those who have asthma, you might come across people those who have back pain, those who have hypertension. So all these kind of diseases are very common nowadays, but with the help of yogic asanas one can prevent these diseases. But if we perform yogic asanas on a regular basis, that every day we perform these asanas, all these kind of diseases can be prevented. The very nice thing about performing asanas is also that we don't have to go out to the ground. We don't have to go to stadiums. We don't need equipments for that. We can perform asanas easily at our home also. As most of us may already know, yoga helps in improving our flexibility, lowers our stress level, and increases our confidence, and finally contributes to healthier lifestyle as a whole. So as we all know that performing asanas, doing yoga is going to improve our flexibility. Flexibility is the range of motion of our joints. So joints become much more stronger, bones become stronger, muscles become stronger. It lowers our stress level, we feel less stressed out, we feel less depressed, or we have less tensions. It also increases our confidence because while performing yoga or asanas on a daily basis, we actually have a better physical fitness, we have good mental strength, we have good emotional control over ourselves. That is why our confidence is also enhanced. And that's why that will be a point where we are going to have a healthier lifestyle. So, yoga will be helping us to have a healthier lifestyle. Now there is a subtopic, that is 3.1 asanas as preventive measures. Before understanding the benefits of asanas, we are going to understand what asanas actually are. According to Patanjali, asanas means sthiram, sukham, asanam. That is that position which is comfortable and steady. That means an individual is in a position, is in a posture where one actually feels comfortable, stable for a longer period of time. In asanas, body is kept in various positions in such a way that the activities of organs and glands of body become more efficient, and eventually the health of mind and body is improved. So all the postures which we actually go into or perform while having a yoga or doing yoga, all these postures actually help the working of our glands and organs in a proper or in a better way, because of which the health of our mind as well as body is improved. Types of asanas now. So there are three types of asanas: meditative asana, relaxative asanas, and cultural asanas. So meditative asanas are the asanas which actually are the postures in which an individual is able to meditate. These are the asanas which make you feel comfortable to sit for a longer period of time so that you can meditate in a proper way. Relaxative asanas are those asanas which removes tension and bring about physical as well as mental relaxation. For example, many of you have heard about Shavasana. Now, that asana makes you feel comfortable not only physically but also mentally. It relaxes your mind. The way, the posture, the way of doing it actually relaxes the whole body and also relaxes your mind with that. Last one is the cultural asanas. Now, it refers to the daily physical exercise posture that train the body and mind in yoga practices. Now, these are the asanas which are actually used to improve the different working of the systems in the body. It might be working of respiratory system, it might be working of circulatory system, digestive system. It can be any system of the body, but through these asanas, we can actually do a lot more, which makes our body more effective and efficient. Now, the benefit of asanas for prevention of disease. The first benefit of asana is bones and joints become strong. Now, this is what you need to understand, that while doing any of the physical activity, we actually strengthen our body. So, with the help of asanas as well, we strengthen each and every part of the body, and we also strengthen our skeletal system. So, the bone, cartilage, ligaments become strong. Now, there are several asanas like Tadasana, there is Trikonasana, which actually helps in enhancing the height of the children. The joints are able to bear more pressure. Now, why these joints are able to bear more pressure? Because through asanas, we actually enhance our flexibility, and flexibility is the range of motion of the joints. So, when our joints are more flexible and when our joints are strengthened, it actually make them much more stronger and they can bear more and more pressure and it will be easier. Now, postural deformities are also prevented and corrected. Postural deformities like kyphosis, lordosis, flat foot, bow legs. So, there are several postural deformities which can be prevented as well as corrected through the help of asanas. The next or the second benefit of asana is muscles become strong. Now we all know that while working, the muscles actually become strong because, and there is a reason why. Because while working over it, all these asanas work as assistant exercises where whatever posture you get into, there is this strain in the body. Your body actually takes strains, your muscle get stretched, and you have to hold in that particular position for a longer period of time. That's why that strength actually enhances and the muscles become strong. The efficiency of muscle increases obviously when the size of the muscle will increase, the stretchability of the muscle will increase. On their own, the efficiency will also be increasing. Fat does not accumulate in the body. We work out on a daily basis. So, whatever fat we are consuming in our calorie diet, it does not get accumulated because we are doing asanas on a regular basis. The third benefit of asana is circulation of blood becomes normal. So the stroke volume as well as cardiac output increases. Now I have given below the definitions of both. So stroke volume is the amount of blood pumped out in one beat. Like when in single beat, the amount or the volume of blood which is pumped out of the heart, that is known as your stroke volume. And the volume of blood which is pumped out in a minute from left ventricle, that is known as your cardiac output. Now as we were talking about that, both of these increases because the cardiac muscle starts working more strongly and efficiently. That means the heart becomes more efficient, the heart becomes more strong, because of which the blood volume or the amount of blood which is pumped out of the heart increases. The level of cholesterol reduces. Lactic acid and acid phosphate are secreted from muscles quickly and easily, which reduces fatigue. Now we all know lactic acid and acid phosphate are the waste material which are actually produced because of the less, or you can say when the amount of oxygen is less in the body. So if the heart will work in a proper way and the circulation of blood will be there in a proper way, the supply of oxygen will be done in a proper way, so there will be less chances of accumulating or of producing lactic acid. And if lactic acid is produced because of the blood circulation is now more efficient, so it will be easier for the body to get all these waste material excreted from the muscles, and because of which you don't feel fatigue or you get recovered easily. The fourth benefit of asanas is respiratory organs become efficient. The vital air capacity increases up to 6000 cc. So the vital air capacity, it is the maximum amount of air a person can expel from the lungs after a maximum inhalation. All the words are taken from your book itself, and if you are studying here with the help of your book, please underline the words which are given there, and I have given you the meanings of them. Please underline the words and write the meanings then and there only. cc is the cubic centimeter. The size of lungs and chest also enhances. So the size and the size of the lungs and the chest actually increases or enhances. The willpower becomes strong. You feel more confident, you have more endurance because your respiratory organs work in a proper way. That is why you have a good willpower. And various disease like cough, asthma and cancer of trachea can be prevented. Now trachea, it is a respiratory organ used as a windpipe. The next benefit is the efficiency of digestive system increases. The organs of digestive system of our body begins to work effectively. All the organs which are related to your digestive system works in a proper way. The absorption of food becomes efficient. The storage of bile in gallbladder is concentrated form is enhanced. Appetite increases. Stomach and intestines are also strengthened. So each and every function of digestive system is actually enhanced. The digestive system as a whole work efficiently because each and every organ, each and every part of digestive system work in a proper manner when on a regular basis we perform asanas. Next benefit is nervous system strengthens. The working efficiency of synapse enhance. So synapse is a junction between the two nerve cells is what you have to understand. The neuromuscular coordination increases. Now the neuromuscular coordination is the coordination or the relationship between nervous system and your muscular system. The secretion of adrenaline remains good. So adrenaline is a hormone secreted by the adrenal glands that increases rate of blood circulation and breathing, which makes your reaction time good, which makes you do different activities in a faster way. The reaction time also reduces, as I said before. Mental power also improves. Obviously, when the central nervous system is going to work in a proper way, your mental ability, like decision making, your mental ability, like focusing, concentrating, each and everything will be working in a proper way. Memory improves and feeling of disappointment will be reduced. Next benefit is glandular activity is stimulated and regulated properly. Now glands start producing hormones in a sufficient quantity. So glands, what they do is glands actually start producing hormones in a sufficient quantity, so that, and it is like collected, and whenever the time comes it can be utilized in that particular manner. So gland is an organ in the human body which secretes particular chemical substance. These chemical substances are the hormones for the use in the body. So there are different kind of hormones, there are different kind of glands which actually work in the body for the benefits or for the working conditions of the body. Demand of insulin reduces. So insulin is a hormone produced in the pancreas which regulates the amount of glucose in the blood. Because now you might be thinking why the demand of insulin reduces. It is because when you continuously work out, when you perform asanas, the glucose actually work as a energy producing substance in the body. So the level of sugar will obviously go down because you are using that while producing energy for doing different asanas. That is why the demand of insulin will reduce. The next one is efficiency of excretory system enhances. The waste products like lactic acid, acid phosphate, urea, uric acid, etc. are secreted quickly and properly, which in turn help in delaying the fatigue. As I told you earlier, all these are the waste products because of which an individual might feel fatigue, because all these substances stays in the body as a waste. So when the excretory system is going to work in a proper way, what will happen is all these wastage from the blood, from the muscles will go out as a waste product, and your body will not feel fatigued after doing a workout or after performing asanas. The last benefit of asana is the immune system is strengthened. Now the regular practice of asanas, we can say that the immune system is strengthened. We as a result become less prone to various communicable disease because our immune system is strong, and that is why various communicable diseases will be something to which we are not at all affected, or we are less affected to them. Now this is our 3.2 obesity procedure, benefits and contraindications for preventive asana. So this is your second subtopic of the chapter. Before going to the asanas which can actually prevent and cure obesity, we are going to start with the meaning of obesity. So obesity is that condition of the body in which the amount of fat increases to extreme levels, means the body will have the extra amount of fat, or the amount of fat is in excess. That is why an individual is known as obese, when an individual have that excess amount of fat in the body. Or we can also define it that an adult with a BMI more than or equal to 30, then the ideal BMI is usually considered to be obese. So here I have also given you the formula to calculate BMI. BMI is your body mass index, that is weight in kilograms, which is divided by height in meters square. So this is what, if you want to do it, you can perform it at your house also. You can just write down your weight and divide it with your height in meters, and then you can also check the weight categories and under which BMI you actually come. So we can see, as we said in the definition, that when the BMI is equal to or more than 30, that particular individual is termed as obese. So here we can see in the last three weight categories, obese, severely obese and morbidly obese, that the BMI is 30 to 34.9, 35 to 39.9 and above 40. So when your BMI comes under this weight category, that means you are obese. Now, obviously, because considering obesity, uh, there are a lot more health risks because of obesity. That is why now it is declared as a disease. That is why obesity is known as a lifestyle disease now, as there are various other health risks which are associated with it. Asanas to prevent or cure obesity. Now we are going to learn the asanas which are given here. As you all are at home, it will be a good thing that you can actually try and perform these asanas at home and remember them in that way only, because in this chapter we have a lot many asanas. So perform them, and it will be easier for you to write the procedure because you will be performing it, and as per you perform the asana you can write the procedure. It will be a easier thing. The first asan is Vajrasan procedure. Now it is a meditative asan. What you have to do is kneel down on the ground or floor with your knees. It will be easier, or it will be a better thing that you use some kind of a mat or a blanket or a bed sheet, something, because the surface is hard and you might get hurt. So it is a better thing that before doing any of the asana, please use mat. So kneel down on the ground as it is shown in the first figure on the left side of the screen. Now your knees, ankles and toes touching the ground. So knees, ankles and toes must touch the ground. Your toes should be stretched backward. Now place your palms on the knees. Now what you have to do is you have to place your palms on the knees, and upper body should be straight, and you have to keep your upper body, the upper torso, your back, your shoulder, every part of your upper body should be all straight. At this time the breathing should be deep, even and slow. So this time what you have to do is you have to breathe even, you have to breathe it slow, you have to calm and relax and perform the asana as the four figures which are given there in the slide. You can see that first one, kneel down properly, try and sit in a comfortable position, the back should be straight, the toes should be stretched backward as you can see here, and the last one is the final position of the asana. Now after the procedure we are going, so moving towards the benefit of Vajrasan, the first one, it is useful in improving concentration. Now as it is a meditative asan, it helps in better focus, it helps in enhancing the concentration of an individual. Second one is it is helpful in curing dysentery, back pain and chest diseases. Now dysentery is the inflammation of the intestine, right? So you need to understand that Vajrasan is an asan which is going to help your digestive system also in a proper way. The way we sit, the posture actually removes back pain and the chest diseases as well. It enhances memory power as we are meditating again. The fourth one, it cures mental stress. You feel relaxed not only by the body, you also feel relaxed by your mind. That is the reason why you feel less stress, or there is no mental stress. Fifth one, it removes postural defects. The asana we are into, the posture which it takes, there are a lot of postural deformities which are actually removed with the help of this asana. The last one is it helps people who are suffering from sciatica. Now, the meaning of sciatica is a pain affecting the back, hip, and outer side of the leg caused by compression of a spinal nerve root in the lower back. So, we are saying that it is a pain which starts from the lower back, goes to hip and the outer side of the leg. Now it also helps people those who are suffering from sacral infection. So the sacral infection, now it is an inflammation of one or both of the sacroiliac joints situated where our lower spine and pelvis connects. Now the contraindications of the Vajrasana. A person suffering from joint pain should not perform this asana. Joint pain, the basic, we can talk about the knee pain actually. The pain in the knee joint, because we have to sit for a longer period of time and the whole of the body weight is on that and you have to fold it tight. That is why if anybody is suffering from joint pain must not perform this asana. Second, the individuals who have any spinal column problem should not perform it. Second asana is your Padhastasana. Now the procedure is, now first of all you need to stand straight. While doing any of the asana you need to stand straight, that is the initial position. Then bend forward until the finger or palm of the hand touch the floor or either side of the feet. Try to touch the knees with the forehand. Do not strain, means do not just pull your body. Just do it in a very relaxed way so that you don't have some kind of a problem. There is no stretched or there are no cramps in the body. Keep the knees straight. While performing this asana, you need to keep one thing in mind, that the knees should be straight. You must not bend the knees just to, so that the knees can touch the forehead. So what you have to keep in mind, that the knees will be straight. Exhale while bending. So when you are standing all straight and when you bend down, start bending down, start exhaling, and when you come back in the initial position where you were standing all straight, you should inhale. So this is how you are going to perform Padhastasana. Now we will be talking about the benefits of Padhastasana. It makes body flexible, it stretches the back and leg muscles. So when you bend forward, the back and the leg muscles are stretched. It helps to eliminate excess body fat. It also helps you in eliminating the extra body fat which is there in the body. It improves digestion and reduces constipation. It cures many stomach ailments. Now from this line you can understand that this asana also helps in improving our digestive system. It also helps in making our digestive system more efficient. That is why there is good digestion, which also reduces constipation, and it also cures the stomach ailments. It makes the spine flexible. The last is it improves the blood circulation. The circulation of the blood in the body is improved. Now the contraindications. So the one contraindication here is the individual who have back pain should avoid this asana. At least they should not bend forward fully. So one who is having back pain must not do this asana. But if someone is trying and someone is doing it, so they should keep this thing in mind, that they should not force themselves to bend fully forward. They can go in a halfway and they should do it in a very relaxed way so that they don't they don't feel any kind of a pain. So this is the end of the lecture. We are moving towards the homework section now. This is the homework from this lecture. Question number 1, define asanas. Question number 2, explain asanas as preventive measures. Question number 3, explain Vajrasana and its benefits. While explaining, you need to write down the procedure of Vajrasana. Question number 4, explain the benefits and contraindications of Padhastasana. So this is the end of the lecture. Thank you.